Remember these guys? Chocolate persimmon. I can't wait for this. I just can't. So I'm doing this guy a little bit differently. It says not to, but I'm gonna grow it in a pot. In fact, a grow bag. This is that soil that I've make. I could talk in abundance about soil. Soil is probably the most important part of the process. Super well draining. Yes, they're in pots, but I'm not trying to move things all the time. You plan for the worst case scenario. What if it rains continuously? I don't want to have to move my pots around. I'm lazy. Not lazy, I'm efficient. I don't know if it's a 25 gallon or a 30 gallon grow bag, but you already know I don't waste stuff. Got that cardboard from boxes. Goes in the bottom. Dang, this tree's been soaking for hours. Like at least three hours. Let's check out these roots. That's a lot of roots on this guy in comparison to the other one. I'm just inspecting it for broken or dead or misshapen, anything weird. I could see the graft. I think this is the perfect height for what I need it to be. The directions from when this came from said to make sure that it goes in the ground. I don't know. I have all this fake grass. I don't have a lot of land space. Generally, my concept is to put it in a bag anyway. See how things grow in the area, and then if I were to able to put it in the ground, I'd put it in that ground after it made it through a season in that area. What I'm gonna do though is add some aloe vera. I just moved the aloe vera plant, so I'm just getting out the good bits, putting it on the roots. I swear aloe vera is like the miracle plant. It heals, it feeds, it does all sorts of crazy things. So I'm just gonna rub as much of this as I can on these roots. A few moments later. Now we cannot forget about this mycos. Beneficial bacteria helps the roots uptake nutrients. Since I make my own soil, it's pretty neutral in that area. The only ingredients it gets is what I gives it. So just double checking the height. Looks good. Man, this would be helpful to have a second person. 20 bucks says this tree would be sideways. Like it's funny, all my trees have a slight lean. Solo gardening at its best. Now I know it's sleep, but hopefully it wakes up pretty soon. I want to add some natural fertilizer. I believe it's called Long Bite. You can technically add as much of this to any pot as you want. It doesn't cause any harm. And let's fill her up. I always add at least a little bit of native soil as well. At least per the directions, we're going to soak it twice. I'm just going to use that extra water it was soaking in. Let it soak through. And then like in an hour, I'll water it again. And watch, you could literally see this soil settling and moving down. That water moving things closer together, pulling the soil together, filling in those crevices. So I said it before, I'll say it again. I like to stack nutrients. You put any nutrients, woods and things like that break down around the roots. And what you're gonna have is a dead plant, my friends. I mean, there's ways to make it work, but I like things to be efficient. Wood or things like that, it breaks down and over time it'll suffocate your roots. That carbon dioxide deprives oxygen. Like, have you ever bought a plant and it was fine and then all of a sudden it died out of nowhere? You didn't do anything different. It's probably because that soil had something that broke down, likely wood chips of some sort. Wood chips, although at first it's nice because it provides aeration, but it will break down. Once it breaks down, it'll start to smell like a little sewage and nasty. It's sucking out the oxygen. It's creating carbon dioxide. I try to avoid that. And then, not to mention your soil. I don't want to have to change my soil all the time. Making the soil this way, it's a one-time thing. I don't need to buy a soil every couple years. I make it once and it stays. It doesn't break down. That way, I'm just adding nutrients to the top. I'll have to buy compost or make my own compost. Use things like this azomite for fertilization. This is a super slow release. I'm not going to add a ton of it. I just want it to be available if this tree wakes up fairly fast. This is my first time doing a bare root, so I'm not sure how fast it'll wake up. Based on my research, it's gonna take a couple months, so. Cannot forget azomite, rock dust. Azomite and worm castings are some of the things you can actually add around your roots. I add a little bit too, but the majority of it gets added to the top. It feeds down into the roots. You put it at the bottom, and what happens in a pot? It's just gonna get washed out. So, efficiency. Cannot forget that mulch. And I'm such a big advocate for these grow bags. I mean, I've been using them 4 years. If done correctly, I mean, it's just super efficient. No transplant shock. When up potting to another pot, no transplant shock. No root boundness. It just makes sense to me. If something makes sense, why not do it? I would think this would be particularly beneficial though in an area that rains a lot. In the summertime, you could do something like put a pot under things that may need it in these grow bags, and that'll keep things at least damp based on your watering. If you get your water to be super specific. I've gotten that breaking down to a science. It's a lot of calculating and figuring out up front. Once you got it figured out though, you can make like a little table or whatever you need to do, and it's so easy. I always hear you need an up pot and up pot and up pot, but you really don't if you could be efficient with your water. Alright, this persimmon looks like a long twig, but I can see the nodes. A lot of people cut these to their knees. I want to leave some of these nodes so I can make sure that it's flowering. But basically what you want is an equivalent root ball to tree. So what I did is cut right above a node. With bare root trees, they're pulled out while they're asleep. They lose a lot of the roots, so it can't really support the tree that it was. If you have a car and you put a small battery in your car, you're eventually going to be left on the side of the road because battery is going to run out of juice. Bare root in the pot. This is the first for me. Like, share, subscribe. Leave some comments if you have any concerns or questions. Or hey, maybe you got some tips. Let me know. As always, people, let's grow.